Hello and welcome to Lessons of Boydie. Okay, so linking this week and last week's lesson. Last week we talked about mental well-being and how we can support our friends if they were suffering from depression or anxiety. This week we are talking about friends. What makes a good friend? What makes a bad friend? Now, even though this lesson isn't as tricky as the last two lessons, it could still upset us because we're talking about what makes a bad friend within this lesson. And we may think, oh, well, I thought this person was my friend, but apparently they're not my friend. And that can be confusing. That can make us feel a little bit anxious. So, if any time you need to hit that pause button or you need to step back from the lesson, need a movement break, a regulation break, then that is fine. And again, a reminder, please support our friends if they are getting a bit upset. Give them space and make sure that they are okay. Okay, so your first task is to create a poster on what you think is a good friend. So in the middle of a page, you are going to draw a person, and around it, you're going to write around all the things you think are the good qualities that make a good friend. A little bit like this. So I have kind. Karen makes me laugh, cheers me up when I'm down, shares, good to talk to, likes things I like, picks me up when I am down. I guess I've put that twice, never mind. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be brilliant, but try to get as many things on that page as possible. You can use some of the things that are on my sheet of paper, but it would be great to have your own ideas as well. So it's time to hit that pause button and come back to the lesson when you are ready. I shall see you when you come back. Okay, welcome back. So we are going to talk about what is good friend and what is bad friend. Let's start with good friend. Let's start with the positive things. So what makes a good friend? So you've probably listed a lot of them on your page. Someone that is very kind and caring. Someone that genuinely cares about you and shows that they care about you. That they don't try to make you do bad things or they don't put you down. Someone that is there to kind of pick you up when you're down, make you laugh. Someone that you can share interests in. Now, I've got many friends, and not all of them do I have all the same interests that they do, or they don't have all the same interests that I do, and that is fine. But it's probably good if you can find at least one thing that you both enjoy doing together, or you can talk about. For example, it could be, oh, I've just watched the latest Stranger Things. Do you like Stranger Things? Or what else is there to talk about? Oh, K-pop Demon Hunter. Do you like K-pop Demon Hunter? Let's say if you've got something in common. But I think you wouldn't really have to ask all those things with a good friend because they'll probably know all the important things about you. That is a good friend as well. Someone that will share things with you, whether it is, oh, I forgot my pen at home. No worry, here's my pen. Or maybe it could be toys. Someone that is makes you feel inclusive. So includes you in games or maybe it's in a lesson activity. That's a good friend as well. Someone that when you're feeling like you're at your lowest, you know that you could pick up the phone and you'd be like, oh, I really need to talk to this person. They'll pick up the phone and they'll be there for you. That is a good friend as well. So these are all great qualities, but maybe just a good friend is a good influence on you, a positive role model, someone that is just a genuinely good person. That makes you want to be like a genuinely good person too. I think is a good friend. Okay, enough of the good friends. What about what makes a bad friend? Now, it's hard to say a bad friend, but maybe it is people that aren't really the best influence on you. So, people that call you names and put you down, there's a difference between banter, and there's a difference between banter or there's someone that is deliberately calling you names, a little bit like a bully, really, and is putting you down deliberately for their entertainment. That's not a very good friend. Someone that forces you to do something, that peer pressures you into something to do what you don't really want to do and be like, oh, go on, do it. Don't be a coward, don't be a chicken. That's not a very good friend at all. Again, it's a little bit of bullying, really. If a friend would be like, oh, buys this, That's not a good friend. A good friend wouldn't ask you to buy it for them. That's not a very good friend. Someone that gossips about you behind your back or tells others your secrets. A good friend would hold your secrets. A bad friend would probably go and tell Ellie in the classroom, "Oh, do you know this about Shannon?" That's not a very good friend, is it? Makes you feel bad about yourself. A friend shouldn't do that. A friend should be bigging you up instead of putting you down and making you judge. Should I really wore this today? Like, you know, or teases you, and instead of celebrating your ideas and your opinions, they kind of shut you down. That's a bad friend. Someone takes your property as well that doesn't belong to you. Be like, "Oh, give us that pen." That's not a very good friend either. Okay, now we're moving on to task number 2. Again, it is time to hit pause on that button because on the screen I'm going to be listing sentences and you've got to decide if it's a good friend or a bad friend. So do you remember in the last lesson when we made this, but instead of depressed and anxiety, we're going to have good friend and bad friend. And again, if you think it's a little bit of both, you can put it on the line. So freeze that screen and come back when you've finished the task, and I shall see you when you come back. Oh, well, I'm back. So the next part of this lesson is we're going to be discussing what you say to a person that's not really being a good friend. So sometimes it's hard to come to terms that one of your friends that you've been friends with for a long time, maybe they've changed and they're not the person who they used to be, or you've become friends with this person, but you're like, I'm not sure if I want to be friends with this person anymore. Or maybe it's just you've just realised that they're not very nice and they don't make us feel very good about myself. It's hard to come to terms with that because all we want is friends, really. So I think the first thing you need to do is probably sit down with that person and be like, actually, you've made us really feel quite bad about myself. You've made us feel all these things. And a good friend shouldn't make us feel this way. And I think to be honest with them, that is the best place to start. And say how they take it with that. If they'll be like, oh, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't actually mean to make you feel this way. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad friend. That just means that they've just done something wrong and they've made a mistake and they're willing to fix it. And if they're willing to fix it, then that is a good friend. A good friend can also be all of our friends can upset us at one point, but a good friend is willing to listen and willing to apologize and change things and change their actions and change the way they behave around you. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad friend if they've upset you. It just means that they need to know on what to improve on. Another thing is if they be what you're talking about, like, or you call me a bad friend, then maybe it's just be like, look, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to have time away from you. I need my space. And maybe that is a good opportunity if you have space away from this person, is that you realize that if you're you realize if your mood changes, because if someone's constantly not being a good friend and they're putting you down and they're teasing you, you're going to feel a bit bad. You're going to feel a bit down. And if you're feeling happier and you're feeling more positive, then maybe it's because of that person. So then maybe you've got to question, is it worth having this person in my life if they're going to make me feel this way and they're not going to change the way that they're acting because I've already told them how they're feeling, they're not listening to us. And if you've done all that and they're still not being a very good friend, and you've asked for space and they're not respecting it and they continue to be unkind, and maybe it is edging into being a bit of a bully, then you have to go and tell someone. You need to tell a trusted adult. You need to tell a teacher or a member of staff in the school or a family member. Well, mostly a parent or guardian, because that's not very kind and that's not okay. And it's not okay for somebody to make you feel really upset either. So it's kind of questioning, do I need this person in my life? Is it worth having this person in my life if they make me feel like this? Maybe I'm just going to focus my time on spending time with the people that are my friends and that do make me feel better. We will probably feel a change, especially going from junior school into secondary school, because people change to try to fit in. And sometimes puberty can make us change and make us act differently. So sometimes that is hard because, like I've said, they could have changed from primary school. They could have been like the best friend ever, but then they've changed because they're trying to fit in with somebody else. And sometimes we've just got to come to terms that people grow apart, and sometimes friendships do come to an end. And unfortunately, that happens, and it's okay for that to happen as well, as long as you don't be like, oh, you've made me feel like this. That's kind of adding fuel to the fire. Maybe it's just best for you to step back, and be like, okay, I realise you're not a very good friend, and I don't want that in my life, and that's okay to say. Okay, task number 3 and the last task is, since at the beginning of the lesson we did what is a good friend, I thought it would be a good idea to do a bad friend looks like this. This is something I made earlier. So the things we've got on is can't trust them. It's not good if you can't trust them, if you can't tell that person a secret and know they'll keep it. That's not a very good friend. Laughs at me, makes me feel bad about myself, talks about me behind my back, takes my property, bribes me, does not share, calls me names. These are all the qualities a bad friend would have. So again, write down as many things as possible. It'd be great if you could have your own ideas, but if you want to copy some of the things that I've put down, then that is fine too. Okay, so that is the end of the lesson. I hope you've had a great time on this lesson. I'm looking forward to hearing all about your lesson, and I shall see you next week. Goodbye.